It's week 2 of fantasy football. We got a lot of injuries going on. Thankfully, some guys going to be playing today, though Keenan Allen seems like in limited fashion. But of course, we got a main slate to dig into. So today, what I'm going to do live here, one more time, give our final takes for week 2. I'm going to look through the projections and the ownership projections from Stochastic. We're going to see how the optimizer looks on the solver, of course, using ETR's data. We're going to hop back, do some sims on Stochastic, basically go through every QB, see what the best sim lineups are for all of them. That's basically all on tap today. But let's get into it, starting a little bit later than I wanted to. I apologize if you're sitting in the room hanging out, but the kid woke up early. The wife is dying, so we're doing great here, of course, on a fine Sunday. I'm sure the parents out there can relate, but let's get into it, and let's start with let's filter down to the main slate. Start with the top projected plays right now. Again, according to Stochastic, part of the big reason I use Stochastic data here, number one, trust it more than anything after years being there, knowing the work that goes into it. Number two would be Stochastic represents a pretty typical look at the field in terms of what people are going to be doing. So even if you use other projection sources, they're usually not going to be too far off from Stochastic. So as a result, when you look at these projections, you get a good read for how things are going to look pretty much everywhere, whether it be the roto grinders, the ETRs, all of that. So we try to do here. But CeeDee Lamb right now, the top projected player on the slate, 23.2 projection for him. Lamar, number 2 at 22.9. A little bit of risk in this game in my mind that maybe the other side of the equation, the Raiders don't keep up with Baltimore. If that's the case, you probably don't see Lamar run enough. The game's competitive, though. We saw him run 16 times in week 1, so competitive game seems like he's going to run more than ever. Now he's a little bit more control, a little more optionality with what he's doing in terms of calling plays and what he's doing play to play. Patrick Mahomes, number 3 projected guy here, 22.5. So the Breece Hall projection came down a bit. I had pointed out earlier in the week when we did our preview video on Friday, the first look here that I go through everything. Breece Hall had a projection of about 25.7 on him. I thought that was insane. Don't love the matchup against Tennessee, even though this Tennessee team is not the exact same one that Mike Vrabel's been trying out there for years, a team that has shut down the run a lot. Still a lot of big guys up front there that do stop the run on the year so far. The one game that we've had, let me just pull this up real fast. And, you know, I am a bit of a Breece doubter, not because of his own talent, mostly because of the Jets. But Tennessee last week, negative 0.03 EPA per rush, stuffed the run at a 28% clip. Didn't get up a lot of voided tackles, forced tackles for loss 23% of the time. It's not really the kind of situation to me where I think I want to see any RB, but especially one like Breece Hall where for Breece, I think he's going to be good in situations where the Jets are running well ahead in games, can kind of salt stuff away. In a game where I think this one should be competitive, I think Aaron Rodgers is going to struggle a little bit. Team doesn't blitz a terribly high rate, 24%, gets pressure about 21% of the time, though. I think we're going to see another situation for Rodgers like we saw on Monday Night Football. So Breece Hall, at least at this projection, I'm not going to get him everywhere. And I think that's an important thing for me because I was not buying it on the Breece everywhere thing. Cooper Kupp, he's going to be everywhere as well. 21.7 projection on him. He's a top 5 value or top 5 overall projected player on the slate. Shout out to the chat as well. We got some good luck, some GMs. We got our guy Justin here, Steve here. Our guy Katz is a legend here. Titans D is legit. Yeah, we'll see how it holds up over the course of a year. You know, there were definitely things where that defense the last few years, stuffing the run was always the thing you count on for them. But they struggled against the deep ball really profoundly for about 3 years in a row. This year seems like they're shutting down the deep ball pretty well so far. Gave up a high rate of deep passes, 7.5%. And that could just be that Caleb Williams was dog shit in week 1. Like that's going to happen sometimes too. For at least 1 week, Tennessee's defense to me still looks viable. And I kind of expected them to immediately hit the skids when they lost a defensive-minded head coach in Mike Vrabel. Top values on the slate right now, according to Stochastic. Let's look at those. Daniel Jones, number 1 overall value, 3.4x value at his $5,300 salary. Jaden Daniels, number 2, 3.4x value rounded up at a $6,200 salary. Jordan Mason, one of the plays of the day. Christian McCaffrey hitting IR. Bad news for the redraft players. Bad news for people. Got a lot of 101s this year. Bad news even for me. I got 7.5% McCaffrey. But Jordan Mason this week, one of the top value plays. To me, and I think the approach for me today is Jordan Mason, Zach Charbonnet, 2 value players I do expect to have bell cow roles for their team. Really crazy to see these guys be here at this much of a value early on in the year, but I think Mason's a good play today. The one way he doesn't hit would be Minnesota shutting down the Niners, which is possible, but not the most likely outcome. We got Jordan Mason, again, number 3. Kyler Murray at number 4, so pretty decent value for him. At the $6,600 salary. And Patrick Mahomes, number 5. Malik Willis, not too far behind. You want to play a player who nobody's going to play this week, that the pure tournament galaxy brain you can go to, that would be Malik Willis at $5K flat salary. But no real obvious, like, again, $3K wide receiver players. Jordan Akins, they nerfed a little bit, it looks like, as well. Here's his projection now. Yeah, Akins, they cut about 2 points off of. So two of the guys that I thought were a little bit overprojected by Stochastic are now not overprojected. Akins, more normal. Breece Hall, more normal. So I guess that's good to see. What's good? Splash? Am I just splash now? All right. Hey, I'll take it. Chris Splash Spags. That's actually a tongue twister of a nickname if I were to go with it. Noche UFC Sphere was a long one. Yeah, I was trying to watch all of it, and I was like, I can't stay up anymore. So I did miss the main event. It was a cool look. I thought, for them paying, $5 million for the arena, like some crazy amount like that. Hard to expect them to never go back based on what Dana White has said, but did look cool. I don't know if it's $5 million cool, but did look cool. Kind of looked like VR. Like it looked like VR, but in real life. Let's go to the ownership projections, though. Let's see what we have going on over here. Of course, you want to get all this data for yourself. Number one, Stochastic's got a lot of different packages this year, including just data pack. Why do I have to log in again? I'm already logged in. That's how much they care about protecting the data at Stochastic. But for you guys out there, though, again, if you want to go take advantage of Stochastic's data or the tools I'm going to show you on the screen, go check that link in the description or get 15% off just using promo code SPLASH at Stochastic right now. So top projected owned player. It is a good nickname. It is. It's just, I'm not used to it, but I would be happy to take it on. I think it could fit my brand well. Jordan Mason, 34.5% ownership going his way. So honestly, I think that's a little bit low. If I had to guess of what we saw in Monday Night Football, again, we're talking about a national game, a game where this guy got basically 30 touches or 30 intended touches in that game. For Jordan Mason, I think we're talking about 50% ownership. So 34.5%. I feel like the Stochastic ownership, in my estimation, tends to be a little bit more reserved, a little bit more close to the vest on the potential chalk. To me, Mason at 5,200 with the national big game, CMC on IR. There's just people are going to have no concern there. So if I had to guess Mason at 50%, still think he's a good play. He's a kind of play for sure where Mason, Breece Hall, going to be popular in lineups today. And if you want to take out one of them, I wouldn't be mad at it. Breece Hall, number 2 projected owned at 30%. Still find it hard to believe he's going to be that high too, especially with the projection coming down a little bit. For Breece Hall, he was coming up in every lineup because of the fact that projection was so ungodly high for really no particular reason. Now with the projection coming down, and I think too, a lot of people, like we just talked about in chat, a lot of people I think are really historically aware of the fact that Tennessee's had a shutdown run defense. So I'm not sure I'm buying Breece Hall being that chalky. Again, I think he's a fine play, but I think he's a play where if he's chalk, I think he's putting up 18 to 22 as chalk, which is fine. Like that's not a bad day at all, but I don't know that you're going to need to have him to win a tournament. I think there could be a 25-point scorer at the 5 to 6K range. I think you could see Jonathan Taylor come over the top and put up like the high 20s, maybe 30. If that game really goes the right way for the Colts and Malik Willis is as bad as he's been for the last, entire time we've known him. So that would be my concern point for Breece Hall. 30% ownership is projection. I'm sure ETR is going to have it similarly. I think that's a little bit high. Cooper Kupp at 28%. I think that's a little bit low. I think Cooper Kupp's coming in about a third of the time here. Again, no Puka Nacua. We saw about 20 targets or 20 plus targets going his way in game one. I think people will chase that. I think a lot of lineups today will start with Cooper Kupp and Jordan Mason, if I had to guess. Got Deebo Samuel here. Morning Spags, we are grinding for a squirt fest. Yes, we are grinding for a squirt fest. I was up grinding late in battle royales for a squirt fest there. Got in about 20 entries on the battle royales this week. But yeah, nothing really to note there. Brock Bauer is my paid out option of the week. Do a little bit of Terry McLaurin, Jaden Daniels on the battle royales, and I'm sure I'll do some on the main slate on DraftKings as well. Deebo, number 4, projected down to 22%. Feel like a lot of the sim bros out there were saying that Deebo looks good for battle royale sims and for underdog and for DraftKings this week. Deebo, of course, the assumption he gets more work. I think he had 8 rushes last week with CMC out. Just confirm that real fast. Yeah, Deebo last week, 17 intended touches, 8 of which were rushes, 9 of which were targets. Did not perform terribly efficiently in the pass game, negative 0.09 EPA compared to a 0.5 EPA for Brandon Ayuk per target, 1.1 for Juwan Jennings, 0.3 for George Kittle. So he's getting targets, but he's getting kind of RB-ish targets there. A little bit of a lower ADOT. There's still a 9.1 ADOT overall. And he did have 2 deep targets, was really bad did Deebo. Negative 1.4 on EPA, negative 1.4 EPA, on 2 deep targets in that game. 4 red zone touches for Deebo. So that actually is noteworthy. I think you can play Debo and Mason today. I wouldn't be mad at it. I still think Ayuk kind of interesting as a Debo pivot, but the price point's really not that different. Debo 6,800, Ayuk 6,500. But Debo going to be chalk. I think if you wanted to leverage against him, you certainly can. I think the best way to leverage against Debo is probably going to be to play Debo with Mason, because I think people will play that a little bit less than they might seem based on the ownership. CeeDee Lamb's number 5 projected owned overall, 18.1%, actually dead tied with Rashee Rice according to Stochastic. So your chalk plays of the day: Mason, Breece Hall, Cooper Kupp, Debo, CeeDee Lamb, Rashee Rice. If I had to guess, over on Jordan Mason, under on Breece Hall, over on Cooper Kupp, flat on Debo. I think CeeDee Lamb comes in a little bit lower, maybe. But a game that could shoot out. New Orleans and Dallas both very efficient in week 1. So thinking Kittle as the pivot. If you go to Kittle, yeah, I mean, I certainly don't mind it price point wise. Ayuk to me is the more interesting pivot because I just don't think he won't get owned very much. Stochastic projecting 8% for him. I don't see it, but certainly there's some way to do that. And hoping Breece gets overplayed, some nice pivot points. Yeah, I mean, look, I think if he gets overplayed, so to speak, he's still going to be a player that's not going to kill the lineups. I think the question is really like, does he have enough to win you first in a Millie Maker style tournament or a play action, any of the big ones? That would be more my question, but I don't think he kills anybody today. I don't think he puts up like 10. I think he's going to be more in that, again, that 18 to 22-ish range. Charbonnet, 12% projected ownership for him. What else should we look at here? What else could be the chalk? Ramondre, 10%. People like him a little bit more. I wouldn't be shocked if he got to 15. Charbonnet, too. I don't know if people like Charbonnet enough, but him absorbing the Kenneth Walker workload would really be appealing for him. That's sort of been my bet in Battle Royales this week for Charbonnet, where he was going mostly undrafted during the week. Walker from week 1 vacating 4 red zone targets, 5 inside the 2-yard line, or inside the 5-yard line. 0.07 EPA per rush. He was very efficient. Kenneth Walker was last week. Charbonnet, not so much. But Charbonnet's absorbing a really good role. My question is really, I don't think Charbonnet is as talented as Walker overall. The last year or so has kind of cemented that in my brain, where came into last year thinking Charbonnet had a really good shot to unseat Walker. And he did unseat him for a good amount of snaps, but I just don't think he's as talented. I think the team saw that over the course of the summer. So there's a chance you could see Charbonnet lose some workload to Kenny McIntosh. So even though I did play a lot of Charbonnet in Battle Royales, I will be a little more mindful of it in DraftKings today. Just because I like James Conner, I like some other guys, I can play some amount of Breece Hall. I think that for Charbonnet, I'd be reluctant to go as heavy on him as I would say Jordan Mason, where I just don't think anybody's coming for that job at all. For Charbonnet, it wouldn't shock me if Kenny McIntosh got in the mix. They activated a third RB, I think mostly for safety, George something. I forget what his last name is. Not a guy to worry about, but McIntosh kind of is somebody to worry about for Charbonnet. That's my guess. GPP for me, Daniel Stackett, McLaurin, Goodwin, Parkinson, tight end, and either Pats or Chargers D. Goodwin? Godwin. Like, okay. Yeah, I like Godwin. I mean, I like most of those players. Certainly wouldn't make that my GPP core. Guys like McLaurin, Godwin, even Parkinson should be kind of rotational pieces around that, but I certainly like Jaden Daniels, and I do think people will play Jaden Daniels this week. But if I had to guess, they're going to go unstacked more than not. So playing your McLaurin, playing your Ertz, I think is very much in play this week. Lower owned guys here. Actually, let's look at the highest salary low owned guys. See if we can find any potential studs with low ownership. All right, there we go. So Justin Jefferson under 10%. Obviously a tough matchup going against the Niners in theory. This is one as well. One way to decrease that Jordan Mason ownership product and get more correlated in a way that I think the Sims might agree with to some amount. Would be playing a Justin Jefferson in that build. So let's say you go Jordan Mason, maybe you go Jordan Mason and Debo, and you also add in Justin Jefferson. That could be a Purdy stack. Could even be a Sam Darnold stack, I suppose. But going to Jefferson under 10% owned in a matchup where it is a home game for the Vikings. It's one as well where the one spot you would attack the Niners historically would be attacking it with the outside receiver. They're going to bracket Jefferson. They certainly could shut him down. But I think that in this spot here, trying to play him a little bit because he's going to be so low owned. We know he has a ceiling. It should theoretically be a game that's competitive. To me, Jefferson does stand out as a low owned play to try to get a little bit of. Amon-Ra, Jamar Chase here. Amon-Ra going to be owned a little bit. As I've talked about earlier in the week, Tampa Bay, Detroit to me looks like the shootout game of the week. Not sure if that's sneaking up on anybody, but I don't think it's going to be terribly highly owned. So Amon-Ra here, I'm perfectly happy with him as well, even though, again, CeeDee Lamb, Justin Jefferson, I think equally viable, equally appealing options. Jamar Chase, probably the least appealing here in terms of what's going on. He's not going to sign an extension with the Bengals. It feels like he's got jerked around with the reports from Adam Schefter yesterday. Chase, though, I think in general does hate Kansas City, does tend to bring his A game against the Chiefs historically. And this is not, this is a narrative thing. Obviously, I care more about the data of it, but it is enough of a thing where he talks every time in press conferences after the guy interviews in the locker room. He does not like the Chiefs and really wants to beat them and show off in a big way against the Chiefs every time that it happens. And with Higgins being out again, chasing the spot, look, I don't believe in the Bengals on the year, them being good enough for 1 week to give Jamar Chase an outlier game when he's going to be under 10% owned. I think it's not a bad play at all. Definitely something worth a few shots at if you're putting in 150, especially. Jonathan Taylor, 6% ownership going his way, a little bit low owned, as I've talked about. We could have that entire game be entirely on the Green Bay side of the field because of the fact that Malik Willis is not going to do a whole lot on offense. So to me, Jonathan Taylor, pretty big price point pivot to Breece Hall, and really the only live one there. Like, he's the only price point pivot to Breece Hall. It's a little bit more expensive, but you're paying up to get contrarian there. I think he outscores Breece half the time, and there's a chance that he really outscores Breece in that kind of game environment. So Taylor, to me, I will definitely be getting some today. Lamar, hard for me to prioritize. If you're going to play Lamar, playing with Mark Andrews feels like the move. Isaiah Likely, just the fact that a lot of the stuff that he got last week was on broken plays and all of that. The usage was good. He was on the field a lot. He was moved around the field a good amount. But I think for most people, they're probably going to go, if they go Lamar, go Mark Andrews' way. I think there's a shot. There's something tournament of value with Lamar and Zay Flowers. But I don't think it's going to be a priority for me. At 7,700 at QB, knowing that you have cheap guys to go to, you have correlated guys to go to that are cheaper. I think for me, it's going to be hard to play Lamar this week. At Cooper Kupp, I think good chalk for the most part, though he does have Mike Evans right next to him as a price point pivot, guy who could go off in a game against, again, Detroit. Detroit's going to score a lot of points against Tampa Bay. Like, quietly last week, everybody picked up, the Commanders' secondary sucks. In that same game, Tampa Bay was nearly as bad. They just weren't aggressive playing it downfield, that Cliff Kingsbury horizontal rate offense. So to me, the situation here, Detroit putting up a lot of points. You get Mike Evans, you get Chris Godwin. I think both look like strong plays. Anything else to note here? That's basically it. Then we can get into building some lineups. All right, so now we're going to move over to the solver. Let me log in on this tab first. Of course, what I try to do here, guys, every week now is try to show you guys my process here that I use to build lineups, but also what a real process looks like using real products and not just stochastic. Of course, I do use the solver as well. With Fantasy Cruncher and their owner seemingly going off the deep end, the solver is now the only optimizer tool you have that I think is of real value. And really, to me, it's not like, I'm not saying that because like it's the only optimizer, it's the only good one. It is one where I've talked a few times about where it's just a different approach here. Where if you're using stochastics lineups, you're getting the sort of value of there being a ton of lineups and a ton of data coming together for them. The solver, you get more control. Or let's say you wanted to build only lineups with CeeDee Lamb, you just lock in CeeDee Lamb, see your best 500 lineups of CeeDee Lamb, sim those out. You're able to get a little more directed in what you're doing with the solver. So I think it's really worth your time as well. It's a little bit cheaper than stochastics too. That's the trade-off. If you want to just get lineups fed to you, I think use stochastics tool. If you want to hand build a little bit more, touch things a little bit more, and try to make things finesse, like if you're, Stump earlier talking about wanting to get a core and see the best lineups around that, that's where I use the solver for. So check it out. Link in the description. No savings on it, but it does support the show, and you get to check out the product. So check the link in the description for the solver here. Top projected players right now, according to ETR, CeeDee Lamb, Patrick Mahomes, Breece Hall, Cooper Kupp, Lamar. So not too far off. They're a little bit more bullish on Jaden Daniels, but that's about that. Top values, according to ETR, Breece Hall, Cooper Kupp, Debo, CeeDee Lamb, Jordan Mason. Jaden Daniels not too far off. So a little more value ETR is expecting for star players as opposed to stochastic, which had your Daniel Jones, your Jaden Daniels up top. Top owned plays, according to ETR right now, Jordan Mason, Breece Hall, Cooper Kupp, Debo, Kyren Williams. Kyren we didn't talk about at all. I kind of prefer James Conner in that same situation, but Kyren last week, pretty good usage across the board. 21 intended touches, 18 of which were rushes, 5 touches inside the red zone, 2 of which were inside the 10-yard line. So Kyren Williams, the workload is as good as any bell cow back. That's certainly the logic there, though, again, not too dissimilar from James Conner either. It's basically all that. Let's run it with no variance first. Let's see what the field's going to get shoved towards based solely upon the math. Let me take out my settings as well. So we just want to see basically with this first crunch, if you use the solver like I'm using it right now, what you just want to see from the first one is just like what the math is going to push people towards. Are there players that come up in 100% of lineups? Are there players that come up as a stack, as a combo very frequently? And those are the questions we ask. But the optimizer build right now, if you're building a cash game lineup at this moment in time, this would be the one to go with, I would say. Jaden Daniels, Breece Hall, Jordan Mason, Deebo Samuel, Cooper Kupp, Rashee Rice, Luke Schumacher filling in for Jake Ferguson, who's out. 2,900. So not even 2,500 flat. You're not getting a flat min for Schumacher, but 2,900 as close as you can get. He was a good player at Michigan. He is splitting the workload with Brevin Spann-Ford. Could be a third tight end rotating in. So no certainties for Schumacher, but at that price tag, I get it. Yoshivas, he's another value here that ETR does like. He's coming in this optimal lineup. And then the Chargers D, which I do like a lot going against Bryce Young. Bryce Young on paper really looked like one of the worst QBs to play football last week against New Orleans. Oh, it's okay. We're talking shrooms there. It's like, are you asking me about shrooms? No, talking to Sammy. All right. Shout out our shroom boys. Hopefully microdosing. All right, so in every lineup here with ETR, so 25 out of 25 lineups, you're getting Cooper Kupp in all of them. You're getting Deebo in all of them. You're getting Jordan Mason in all of them. You're getting Breece Hall in all of them. So ETR lineups this week, again, generated with the solver, one of the most popular tools out there. You're going to see a lot of Cooper Kupp, a lot of Deebo, a lot of Jordan Mason, and a lot of Breece Hall. The math is going to push people on these plays. They're going to have to make a choice to fade them. You're going to see a good amount of Jaden Daniels, a good amount of Yoshivas, but the 100% is the thing to watch out for. Right away, I would say in this group, I mean, you could not play all these guys. You're getting completely off the beaten path. You could make a group with them, play max 3, max 2 wouldn't be a crazy thing to do. But right away, that's one thing. That's one of the showdown principles we talk about a lot. But it is the same thing for a main slate too. When guys are coming up 100% of the time, this either being mindful of them, making sure you're pairing it with really low-owned stacks, really low-owned parts around it, or you could just set groups and just not get that entire grouping together. That's what you try to do right away when you see this kind of thing here. These guys congregating just means a lot of lineups are going to have 4 guys basically locked into those spots. Let's turn on the randomness and do a sim with ETR as well. Let me put on my main slate settings. We're giving everything a boost. You can see here what I do on the solver. Let me see. So we're not forcing stacks, but we're giving 25% boosts to pass catchers, 10% to RBs, and 10% to opponents. So we're trying to make it so that we get bringbacks when it makes sense, but we're not forcing them in quite as much. Let's go to 300. Let's crank up the variance. Go solver high. All right, we're going to build 300 lineups here and optimize them, and then sim them out on the solver. Then we'll head to stochastic sims and look at all the QB builds and go from there. Adam Schefter says A.J. Brown is legitimately questionable, so there are levels to questionable this year. Yeah, I mean, it's just giving color to it. But yeah, hamstring injury for him. I think it's more he's trying to say that it's not like you putting him on the thing because he had limited practices and it's precautionary, which teams do as well. So you're probably trying to get more specific based upon the fact that there's definitely been some criticism of the reporting around injuries this year, including the CMC thing, obviously. I think that's sort of him. I would have guessed that's him trying to react to that a little bit. That would be my guess. Guys, if you appreciate the stream here, a lot of you guys watching live. Of course, I do streams every day at 11 a.m. Please subscribe down below, hit the like button, leave a comment. Of course, I bring the same process here where I'm using data that you guys can get access to, using process that you guys can get access to, and just trying to show you what's a good way to look at lineups here, how to build things for get uniqueness, to get some upside for yourself. So that's what we do here every day on Splash Play. So please hit the like button, subscribe. It's just a solo proprietor here trying to make it work. If you also want access to all my data, of course, I put together a sheet here that I put in, info from Sports Info Solutions, from Pro Football Reference, from Fantasy Points, from Stochastic. Roll it all into one place. If you hit the join button down below, you'll get that on your YouTube community page immediately, and you can check out all the data that I look at to kind of get a read on how games could go and all that. I'll take a spike from Schumacher for BBM. You took Schumacher and BBM. Huh? Okay, wow. Well, love you too. Don't love the Schumacher quite as much, but I did like Schumacher as a concept. It's tough though. It's clearly was Ferguson's role coming in the year, but Ferguson, another guy. Probably a lot of people getting killed. I know people prioritize Ferguson a good amount in some of those BBM tournaments. People were taking him in the 60s in some rooms. So it's a tough start for best ball this year. We talk more about that on the Tuesday shows, but all the injuries, even Marquise Brown, I got 7.5% and was I want to be with the field on that. He's got to be out for the fucking year now. And I was buying the dip on him too. And it does not feel good. It's not a good start for best ball, even though Jaden Daniels, this is going to be the year where the guy that I put in all my bets on, Jaden Daniels, he hits, and then everything else around it is just the catastrophe. We've almost got these lineups sim though, or optimized. We'll sim them. So stay tuned here. I'm a victim here of the timing of the tech itself. But of course, it does work pretty fast. I will give the solver credit for that. Same thing with stochastic sims. All right, so we don't have a milli maker. Why do they? ETR, so ETR hand builds their lineups or whatever, has their team build their lineups. For some reason, they've not gotten the milli maker lineups in yet. So you have to find another big tournament. Guess we'll just run it for the slant again, which is a close enough approximation, but I would like to get the milli maker in. Like, that's the one we're playing for today, but it's fine. Few drafts with Dak, fair enough. All right, see our top ROI lineups right now. Courtney ETR is a solver. So, look, I like Baker Mayfield again. Tampa Bay's going to have to pass a lot in the situation. Actually, Tampa Bay doubles were definitely something I was going to force in, so I'm encouraged to see this. Very high win rate for this one. Jordan Mason, Baker Mayfield, James Conner, like Conner a lot. Evans and Godwin, we like that. We just talked about Schumacher. Again, really think that I worry a little bit about the Brevin Span Ford thing, but he is in the mix enough. Nice salary on him. Rashee Rice and Packers D. So that is an interesting one. So Packers are at home. Packers, despite losing Jordan Love, they are an underdog, I believe. You 2.5-point dog at home. The way they would win would be the defense. I mean, they didn't stop Jalen Hurts in any way that makes me think Green Bay's defense can stop AR. But it's an interesting pick here, and really it's just about getting low owned and all that. But I do think Tampa Bay doubles really appealing to me. Nice to see that one up top. Aaron Rodgers, the second one here. We're to be reluctant to play this one, but it is here. The old AR, an old AR triple. So there's one thing I've mentioned a few times, the solver, that I do like a lot with what it does in its builds, where it knows that you're going to get a lot of Breece Hall. It knows that it's feeding you a lot of Breece Hall. So this is a lineup that gets direct leverage on Breece Hall, basically saying that AR, original AR, slow, dusty, can't move AR, that he gets there entirely through the pass game. So we have Aaron Rodgers, Zach Charbonnet, Jordan Mason, again, a common combo probably at RB, CeeDee Lamb, Garrett Wilson, Alan Lazard, Tyler Conklin, Cooper Kupp, and then the Broncos D going against Justin Fields, who might be a starter now moving forward. Don't love the AR, the Aaron Rodgers part of it, but I like that build overall. Staying away from Mayfield this week, I think, could see Lions crushing Tampa Bay this week, and Gibbs. Yeah, I don't agree with that at all. Baker looked like the best QB in the league last year in terms of if you watch the film of it. Yeah, I don't agree with that at all. This kind of game spot where it's like you think that Detroit's going to win like 40-7, like Tampa Bay drops back to pass a lot. Maybe it goes completely south. I guess like you could play that outcome, but I think the better outcome to play, it's going to be still low enough owned, is Tampa Bay putting up 28 to hang in with the Lions putting up 35. But obviously you're entitled to view it how you want to view it. Derek Carr double here. Derek Carr, Devin Singletary, Jordan Mason, Chris Olave, CeeDee Lamb, Yoshivas, Mark Andrews, Alvin Kamara, and Broncos D. So another Carr double, as I've talked about a few times here, what the Saints did last week was a pretty big, I think, something deserving of a show of faith. The motion they had on 90% of plays overall, 80% of dropbacks. It's going to allow for more efficient plays. Olave finding a ceiling, I don't mind. Yoshivas is the one part I'm a little bit iffy on. He just didn't earn targets that well. Do you think, again, Jamar Chase loves the matchup against the Chiefs? It being something where he rises up a little bit more, that wouldn't shock me. Not getting too cute this week, locking Kupp and Mason. I think that's reasonable. But just, again, keep in mind, we just talked about it with the projections, that everybody's getting forced, at least with ETR's projections, to Breece Hall, Mason, Kupp, and then who was the fourth one on that? Oh, and Debo. So just make sure you're not playing that 4. If you're playing that 4, I think you're going to be holding hands with a lot of people unless you really comb through and force yourself to get unique. But that's basically that. Darnold, another build here. Just kind of going through the top ones. No QB dominating for what it's worth either. You can see here, it's a pretty good mix of QBs up top. But Darnold, Mason, McLaughlin, Garrett Wilson, Jefferson, Ayuk, Munt, Kupp, and Saints. So you're getting a double for Darnold here. Johnny Munt. What did he do last week? Johnny Munt, 29 snaps, 14 routes, 21% target per out run. It's not bad. If you're getting a lot of Johnny Munt, I would kind of avoid that, but it's not a bad situation for sure. All right, Mahomes, Gibbs, Charbonnet. You guys get the idea here. We're going to go to stochastic sims in a moment. Of course, we'll hand build one as well at the end of the stream, and we'll do 3 takeaways at the end too for the slate. Mahomes, Gibbs, Charbonnet, Debo, Gabe Davis, Rashee Rice, Kelsey, Yoshivas, Giants. So ETR just loves Yoshivas. Seems to be the main thesis here. Besides that, different combos for sure. And a lot of Jordan Mason. I mean, again, if you guys are talking about not fading Jordan Mason, he's coming up in what, 80% of these top builds, maybe a little bit less than that. Definitely coming in up enough where I feel like you should certainly have more confidence than not in Jordan Mason. But let's go over to Stochastic next. Again, check out the solver too. Link in the description. I've really enjoyed playing with their tool. That sounds inappropriate when I put it like that. But I really enjoyed playing with their stuff a little bit more. Because honestly, Stochastic, I've gotten very used to. I enjoy the process on there and know how it goes. The solver has been a new one for me where I haven't used the solver in recent years, but it does combine a lot of the stuff that I like the most with Fantasy Cruncher with some of these things of, again, just having more control, being able to sim stuff out still. So to me, the solver's been a nice addition, but Stochastic, check them out. Get 15% off. Link in the description as well for that. Or promo code SPLASH at Stochastic. You get their data packages. You have cheap stuff now too, where you get just the data and their hand builder tool for like, I think under $30, I want to say, for a month. And you get the sim stuff, of course, which is the best money, best bang for your buck, especially if you just want to kind of be fed lineups. So check it out, Stochastic. Again, link in the description. And there we go. And we'll see what lineups it gives us here. Of course, what Stochastic does, it's building a pool of 10,000 lineups right now. It's going to have them compete 10,000 times, and we'll find out through that prism what the best plays are. And I will go as well through the Stochastic lineups. I'll go find basically every QB's best lineup because I think that was a fun way to kind of talk through the entire slate last week. So we'll do that here as well. But feel free to leave me any requests too if you have any players you want to see in the chat. Cash line should have Mason, Cup, Brees, and Debo locked in. Yes, would agree with that. Would agree with that. Give a clean splash. Thank you. My cool new nickname, as they call me here, the Splash Kid. CMC may need 6 weeks to heal. Tough scene. Puka they had too, saying it might be 5 to 7 weeks. Fucking, it's not the ideal timing right now. I think it's 25% to first again for the Millie Maker, so we're just going to go with that. Sim it out. Am I getting any David Montgomery? I'm not getting much of the backs and timeshares this week. I think that there's enough bell cows at reasonable prices. We have Charbonnet, theoretically a bell cow. He shouldn't be the first one I name. We have Mason, who we know is a bell cow. We have Brees Hall, we know is a bell cow. We have Connor at a good price tag. We have Kyron. We know these guys are bell cows for the most part. So I really don't want to get partial backs at this point. Like, I like Tony Pollard a little bit, but I don't want to play him because there's somebody coming like Brian Robinson a little bit. He's got Eckler there. Don't want to play him. I think this is a week where you just lean in on guys where we know we have 20 touch to 25 touches for the most part because there's enough of them that are not priced for that role. So to me, I don't want to do split guys, but for GPPs, like you could do split guys, split backfield guys, but it's just not my priority. 6 weeks for CMC means they'll likely just leave him on IR until after their week 9 bye. That sounds about right. Yeah, CMC teams, it's tough because if you build CMC the right way in best ball season, you were building him as part of like a 4 RB build where he's your hero, maybe 5 RBs. It is really one thing that I did dial off for myself this year, even though I was like, next year I'm going to just draft 6 RBs on every team. It is one of those things that in hindsight, maybe you should have still been drafting 6 RBs with CMC. Just because you then get, make them get later guys, like get your Tank Bigsby's instead of like, a James Conner type in that build. But I think that's probably the lesson learned here. It's the biggest bummer for me though, with Jordan Mason potentially being the handcuff that hits after legit 2 straight years of no handcuffs hitting. Now we're going to have one hit potentially in a way that advances a lot of teams that actually might be kind of dog shit. Top team here. It's a little bit small for some reason. Hold on, let me see. I'm shrinking the wrong screen. Yeah, all right. That's about as big as we can get here. We got Jared Goff, Brees Hall, Devin Singletary, Amon-Ra St. Brown, J-Mo. J-Mo did not come up a lot. J-Mo's a risky play for sure. The target share going back Amon-Ra's way is certainly the case that we expect. But Detroit in week 1, the J-Mo numbers real fast. So J-Mo last week, 52 snaps compared to 60 for Amon-Ra. They both ran 28 routes, though. 0.35 EPA per target compared to a negative 0.9 EPA for Amon-Ra. So Amon-Ra was just he's not going to be that bad moving forward. It's impossible for him to be that. But 9 targets for J-Mo, 6 targets for Amon-Ra, 32% target route run for J-Mo, 21% for Amon-Ra. It's possible that it just ends up being like 25% each target per route run for these guys. If that's the case, J-Mo can make this lineup, Amon-Ra can make this lineup. Hard to imagine Laporta in a triple doing it, but I think it's possible the Lions put up a lot of points against Tampa Bay. I'd probably want to bring back, though, for Tampa Bay at this point. We'll look at that in a moment, Cali Rush. Or Cali Kush. We got Goff again. So the top two lineups on Stochastic are Jared Goff lineups, which pretty stark contrast. And Deshaun. This is all a pretty stark contrast to what we saw with ETR. But Jared Goff, Kyron, Jordan Mason, Amon-Ra, Cooper Kupp, Lazard coming up a lot too. Laporta, Parkinson, Chiefs. I got to say I like these lineups a little bit less than the ETR ones we saw. Oh, yeah, that is weird timing, Rush Lord. Look, I think J-Mode, price tag is a really interesting play. I do worry a little bit about the ownership. Stochastic has him at 5% owned. I don't know that I believe that. I think people might go, oh, J-Mo broke out. He's the guy we want to play in this team. So that would be my concern point for him. I do like him as a play. So a little bit tough to balance that out. The price tag definitely works. I know I'll play some, but he probably won't be like a core play for me or anything. Deshaun is number 3 here. Deshaun Watson, Breece Hall, Jordan Mason, CeeDee Lamb, Amon-Ra, Amari Cooper, Jordan Akins, Lazard, Cardinals. So you're getting the double here, saving some money with Akins, saving some money with Lazard. I'm not a fan of these teams up top. I have to admit that right away. Let's look at the top 150, though. Get a read for the overall portfolio the Sims would give you here. So the Stochastic Sims love Lazard. Think Lazard is a very strong play at 3,300. 47% Sim ROI for Lazard right now. Sim ROI of 29% for Demarcus Robinson, 29% for Colby Parkinson. So basically trying to get direct leverage on Cooper Kupp is also working out pretty well for the Sims. Jordan Akins, 24% Sim ROI. So just saving money at tight end. That's working for the Sims. Jordan Mason also coming up a good amount here with a 21% ROI. And Daniel Jones going against the Commanders D. So basically the Sims are saying play Daniel Jones or play Commanders D. But both options here, which I think kind of makes sense. You're playing the volatility of that game. The total doesn't support it that much. Both teams barely above 20 unless it's moved overnight. Let's take a quick look. It's 21.3 for the Giants, 22.3 for Washington. So not even in that range where it's like a little bit more, it gets a shootout. But I do think Jones, to me, he's either going to beat the shit out of this Commander secondary, in particular with Malik Neighbors, with Wan'Dale Robinson, maybe a little bit with Theo Johnson, or the Commanders D is going to get good results against him because he's that bad. So playing the volatility of that spot, I think makes sense. You're getting Neighbors a good amount here as well. Probably Neighbors stacked up with Jones coming up with Stochastics. Stack ROI. Well, you can see that. QB plus 3s for Deshaun are pretty profitable. QBs plus 3s for Daniel Jones are pretty profitable. If I had to guess, that would be either Wan'Dale and Theo with Neighbors and Singletary and those kind of stacks. But if you wanted to overstack, these are your QBs to overstack with. Sims always like Daniel Jones. I mean, he's cheap. He runs. He's got theoretical upside. Flex and Matt, this should be a super chat, to be clear. Madison, Spears, Lockett, thanks. Full PPR, probably Lockett, but none of them are that great. But honestly, they're all very similar plays. I don't know, Toby. Your team is not very fun, though. No disrespect, but that doesn't seem like what I'd want to be going for my flex. All right, we got Mason is going to be your highest owned player in the Sims right now, 74% exposure across 150 lineups. Breece Hall, number 2, 65% across 150. Lazard, number 3, 51% across 150. Cooper Kupp, number 4, 43% across 150 lineups. And number 5, Amon-Ra with 38% across 150. So that's the overall construction there. But now we're going to go through QB by QB, guys. So this is going to be the toughest part. This one can drag ass. So hit the like button, subscribe down below. Again, I'm doing these now every Sunday morning to give you guys a real take about what it looks like to build lineups using real tools out there. The Solver, Stochastic, Sims tools. Those are the biggest ones that are going to be building lineups today. The Saber Sim, another one as well. Fortunately, you don't have access there, but as what we do here every week. So please hit the like button, subscribe, show me some love here because I'm a solo proprietor going against legit companies doing streams with thousands of people watching. So your support does go a long way for me. I was trying to make it work. And of course, 15% off with Stochastic using the promo code SPLASH. Check the link in the description as well. Of course, my nickname, Splash. That's all you have to do to get your promo codes going. All right, QBs. Let's go through the entire slate here. So Vegas, 16 implied points. Do we have any Gardner Minshew QBs that we can get to? Let's see. Let me filter here. Again, we're just going to go in order based on the way I have them in the sheet, guys. So not starting with the sexiest QBs. We're starting with Gardner Minshew. Gardner Minshew's best lineup right now. Minshew double. Minshew, Charbonnet, Mason, CeeDee Lamb, Devontae Adams, Lazard, Brock Bowers, Rashee Rice, Chargers. All right, so Adams and Bowers. So basically, if Minshew hits, he needs two guys to have outlier games for him. Bowers looked really good in week one. Bowers is one of my favorite Battle Royale plays of the week. I'm sure I will play some of him on DraftKings as well. Adams, I'm not playing anywhere, but I could certainly see the squeaky wheel for him this week in a spot where it feels like they should put up some more points or have to put up points against Baltimore. Baltimore gave up a 31% target rate to the receivers out wide last week. Though Adams got targeted out of the slot a good amount. Adams had 4 targets out of the slot for a 0.9 EPA. And the Ravens were pretty bad at the slot. 0.8 EPA allowed on those plays last week to KC. All right. I probably wouldn't play Minshew stacks, but more interesting than it would seem, I think. Probably would feel better, I think, if you got a Ravens bring back. Like maybe Derrick Henry on that one. Probably not Justice Hill. You don't want to play Andrews with it. Zay in that build, I feel like would feel nice, but that's my personal bias. Lamar, top lineup for him. We got Lamar with Ramondre, Devin Singletary, Amon-Ra, Alan Lazard, DeMarcus Robinson, Mark Andrews, Cooper Kupp, Vikings D. So you're getting just a QB +1 here, no bring back. You're also seeing up top here, by the way, guys, not a lot of bring backs coming in. So that's part of why for the solver builds that I do, I don't force bring backs anymore. I think overall, in general, the sims this year, pretty much across every sim, are all pointing to the fact that people use bring backs too much. So just one thing to keep in mind for yourself if you are someone that's been locking in bring backs every time. They certainly do help, but that's basically it. I talked about at the top, fading Mason or Debo. I probably wouldn't want to fade Debo. I'm definitely not going to fade Mason either. So really, to me, it's about the 4 key plays there that are going to come up in every lineup. It's Cooper Kupp, it's Debo, it's Breece Hall, it's Mason. So I'm not going to play 100% of anybody today, but I think if I were to play 100% of one guy, it'd probably be Mason over Debo for me. Anyway, Lamar here. The other builds, Jackson with Singletary, Mason, Kupp, Debo, Godwin, Andrews, Parkinson, Patriots. 2 tight end. I don't know that I love this week, but that's what's coming up. And Baltimore, 25 implied points for this game as well. All right, let's look up Derek Carr. I'm actually curious to see this. We did have one top lineup on the solver with Derek Carr up top. Here on Stochastic, you're getting no Derek Carr up top. You're getting only a 34% ROI on him and a QB +1. A Carr with Kyron, Josh Jacobs, Jamar Chase, Cooper Kupp, Olave, Akins, Yoshivas, Patriots. So again, Akins and Yoshivas, Stochastic not immune to the Yoshivas love as well. Yoshivas comes up a lot more in ETR. He's coming up here as well. You're going to tell me to take guys out of my lineups. I would take Akins and Yoshivas out of my lineups. I really, they come up so easily. They make lineups work, and I don't believe either guy really has a meaningful ceiling. Yoshivas maybe does more so, but I am not sold. Let's see. Recently realized I don't like most other streamers. Too smart for me, LOL, but I like down-to-earth people. Oh, well, I don't know that. That wasn't really a compliment, Snowman. I appreciate it, but thank you. I'm also smart. I just try to find common ground with things. But okay, I guess I'll be the idiot here. Anyway, Derek Carr builds, I think, interesting to me. Just that team was really efficient. I think there's a shot that Cowboys Saints shoot out. I don't mind that game. Similarly, Dak on the other side, we have some good CeeDee Lamb ownership. These other guys are too good at what they're doing. I prefer somebody that doesn't know what they're doing, who's just talking me through stuff here on stream. Dak Prescott, Zach Charbonnet, Jordan Mason, CeeDee Lamb, Amon-Ra, Debo Samuel, Akins, Lazard, Cardinals. Akins, Lazard. So again, if you're not getting Yoshivas, you're getting Lazard. Just build balanced teams, I think. I think just build better balanced teams. Don't get Lazard in. Okay, thank you, Snowman, for the clarification. I'm down to earth and smart. Thank you. I try. Look, I don't believe in my sniffing my own farts here on stream. Maybe if I win if I win 100K, a million, then I'll sniff my farts and go, well, here's how I opined about this earlier in the week. But we talked about it before. Like, I love the legendary upside, guys, but it's like the bourgeoisie talking about concepts. Well, I'm here in the coal mines building lineups and just going through one by one. So different approaches for sure. All right, so there's your Dak lineups. Again, Dak with CD looks pretty good. It's pretty much all that's coming up. I would say, though, this one here, where you get CD, you tack on Schoonmaker, gets you away from Akins chalk, gets you away from Lazard bullshit, still gets you Yoshivas, unfortunately. Fucking man, I swear to God. If you build lineups, just take out Lazard, Yoshivas, Akins. See what you get. Like, there's too much of those three guys, and they all suck. Like, they're all not good players. They're coming up everywhere. So there we go. Genius is overrated. I prefer, yeah. I want somebody missing chromosomes to give me my football takes. That's the hope. I think I know. I feel like we're talking maybe JM to win types. I don't know. The Stone Man would have to tell you, but that's who I would come to mind if I think very smart, maybe not feeling as actionable. Hey, I'm always happy to hear people's opinions. All right, Indianapolis. Let's go to AR. AR, of course, massive game last week, only completing 9 passes. Not the best real life passing game, but it works. Liam's too smart. Oh man, what the? No disrespect to Liam, but come on, man. I don't ask what if blank is the guy you need. I don't have those crutches. Oh, with the cockiness. Okay. he is very cocky. But hey, you want a BBM. What are you going to do, man? And he works hard at it, to his credit. AR, Ramon, I just want to know your guys' takes. I know that they know who they are. I want to know who you guys were saying they are. I want your community samples here. I want audience. I want an audience survey to know who sucks, who doesn't suck. AR, Ramondre, Jordan Mason, CeeDee Lamb, Cooper Kupp, Michael Pittman, Akins, Granson. Oh my God, you're playing 2 shit tight ends? No, don't play this team. You're not even getting enough studs to play this team. I don't agree with. I'm being mean to the Sims today, but I don't agree with some of these lineups that we're getting up top. AR with Kyron, Jerome Ford. Okay, that's kind of fun. Amon-Ra, Debo. Jerome Ford, a quiet bell cow, by the way. Got bell cow level work. Nobody talked about it, but he did. Amon-Ra, Debo. The issue is Deshaun Watson as QB. Not just in the fact that he might sexually harass, assault Jerome Ford, but also that he's not very good. And that's going to make for less quality opportunities. Kylan Granson, Lazard, Patriots again. Fucking Lazard, man. Though I will say Kylan Granson, cheap tight end pivot, correlated tight end pivot. If you get these cheap tight end pivots that are just not Jordan Akins and you have them stacked with your QB, great. Take them. Do them. I think they're undervalued on the slate because people are going to get forced to a shitload of Jordan Akins and they shouldn't be. Did we get any Malik Willis Sims? Let's go. Keep your hand. I hope he keeps his hands and everything else. Every appendage. Keep him off Jerome Ford. ETR is Bowers at 2% owned. Does that seem too low? On this slate, no. I don't think he did enough last week for casuals, and I think people will chase some cheap tight end stuff because they're going to get forced there a lot. So that's part of why I like Bowers a lot. 4,400 on DK. Really nice price tag for him. And again, Battle Royales too. He was going undrafted mostly. Great pick there. Malik Willis, Breece Hall, Zach Charbonnet, CeeDee Lamb, Cooper Kupp, Demarcus Robinson, Tyler Conklin, Jordan Mason, Giants. So you're only getting unstacked Malik Willis. Honestly, you could probably play Malik Willis in cash. Like this lineup feels kind of cashy almost. Hard to play him in tournaments unstacked, but Sims don't give you him stacked at all. Malik Willis, probably not a play, but I will say, if you're ever just going to buy in on a guy coming in, being good, he's cheap, nobody's going to play him. You can stack him up with whoever you want. There's not going to be ownership on it. All the Packers pieces are projected for 1% or less ownership at pass catcher. If I were to stack him up with anybody, I'd probably go Jordan Love and Dobbs have a special connection, but Dobbs had the most work, 30 routes in week 1. Jaden Reed at 26, Watson at 26. There may be a little bit of a Dontavian Wicks connection with Willis from working a little bit with the second team, but he wasn't on the team long enough. They would have built up a real rapport. God, there's something interesting about a Willis stack, but it's hard to play. That'd be a complete hold your nose play, but to me, game theory wise, there is something interesting about Malik Willis at that low of a salary. Nobody playing him, but he is still Malik Willis. Keep that in mind. All right, we got Aaron Rodgers here. We got Aaron Rodgers with James Conner, Jordan Mason, Amon-Ra, Alan Lazard, Garrett Wilson, Tyler Conklin. So another Rodgers triple, but you're getting away from the Breece Hall chalk if you do that. Cooper Kupp, Patriots. Gotta say, the fact that we have seen pretty high ROI Aaron Rodgers triples on both sites. Look, I don't believe in Aaron Rodgers. We talked about it. I think that Tennessee defense might be good. The total 22.5 for the Jets doesn't really do anything for me there either. But both sim sites say that a triple with Aaron Rodgers has some value. So maybe something to play. Wouldn't feel good about it. All right, Will Levis coming up next. We got Levis with Breece Hall, Devin Singletary, CeeDee Lamb, Amon-Ra, Calvin Ridley, Colby Parkinson, Allen Lazard, Vikings. So we are getting Levis stacked up with Ridley. We have not seen that combo very often. Getting two opponents on the bring back, though, which is interesting. We're getting Brees back and Lazard back. Again, Lazard in every fucking lineup. Just don't do that, please. For everybody. Even if he hits, I would still not do it. Even if I knew in advance he was going to hit for 15 points, let's say, which would be a pretty good hit for Lazard, I probably still would not want to play Lazard as much as the Sims are giving me right now. Which is not like a hot take, but I think that's his most likely best outcome. And yet we're getting Lazard fucking everywhere. Deshaun in his stacks. We got Deshaun with Brees Hall, Jordan Mason, CeeDee Lamb, Amon-Ra, Amari Cooper, Akins, Lazard, Cardinals. I think we saw this one already. We got Deshaun here with Kyron, Ramondre, Jerry Jeudy, Debo, Cooper, Akins. So a triple with Deshaun. No better time to buy in on a guy and a triple stack than when he had under a 50% catchable ball rate last week. That's Deshaun Watson for you. Trevor Lawrence coming up next. Why does it keep fucking blocking me out here? Just let me click filters. Let me click filters. Why is it doing this to me? Drive me fucking nuts. All right, let's go over here. Do it this way. Trevor Lawrence with Brees Hall, Zach Charbonnet, Devo, Malik Neighbors, Christian Kirk, Evan Ingram, Jordan Mason, Cardinals. So you're getting a lot of chalky stuff around here. I guess Neighbors a little bit less so. You're getting a lower owned double stack. Hard for me to see this game being some offensive shootout. Cleveland's D, negative 0.14 EPA per dropback, negative 0.15 EPA per pass allowed last week. And that was against, I think, a tougher Dallas team. But yeah, I think Lawrence doubles, going to be low owned. Wouldn't mind it with a bring back here like this one. Lawrence, Brees, Charbonnet, Amon-Ra, Debo, Kirk. Akins is the fucking bring back. But Jordan Mason, Cardinals. You're going to play Akins, play him in a correlated build, though. I think that does look better. But I feel like, yeah, Trevor Lawrence builds, don't hate him that much. Don't hate him that much. Daniel Jones builds. I should probably keep that in. All right, Daniel Jones. We have Daniel Jones with Brees, Charbonnet, CD, Malik Neighbors, Lazard, McBride. Again, you're probably seeing some common themes here. There's really, I'm hoping the value add of this process here, but you're basically getting CD in every build, Brees Hall in every build, Lazard in every build, Mason in every build. But Lazard with McBride, Mason, Cardinals here. Daniel Jones with Brees Hall, Kyron, Amon-Ra, Lazard, Neighbors, Akins, Cup, Packers. Do we get one with Wandale? Okay, this one with Wandale. Jones, Mason, McLaughlin, Lamb, Wandale, Malik Neighbors, Kittle, Cup, Giants. Kind of interesting. Nothing with a bring back, huh? Bring back a Zach Ertz here. Daniel Jones, Brees Hall, James Conner, CeeDee Lamb, Godwin, Neighbors, Ertz, Wandale, Panthers. Panthers D, no. I don't think they are going to be good at all this year. But I think Jones with a bring back would appeal to me a little bit more. I think you go with him, Ertz or McLaurin as the bring back. I think taking shots at McLaurin this week will certainly be appealing to me. Look at our precious boy, Jaden Daniels. Maybe the only thing I've gotten right in a major way. No, that's not true. But still, it feels like it right now. Jaden Daniels, Brees Hall, Ramondre, CeeDee Lamb, Garrett Wilson. So we're getting a little bit of a lower owned play here by adding Wilson on top of Brees Hall. Terry McLaurin here stacked up with Jaden. Again, Jordan Akins and Allen Lazard sneak in. I do not want them. Cardinals D as well. This one works. Okay. So we got Jaden, Brees, Jordan Mason, CeeDee Lamb, Garrett Wilson. Iffiest part to me, but I do like the rest of the build. McLaurin, Zach Ertz, Parkinson, two tight ends, a little bit tough. Commanders D. Commanders D is not where you want that to be. Look at him naked. I wouldn't play him naked. Yeah, I mean, you can see with the Sims here, none of the top plays are naked because there's going to be enough people playing him naked that you're not going to really want to do that. The move is going to be, honestly, in my mind, the move would be to stack him up and do the double, to do the McLaurin Ertz double, because that's what the people just aren't going to play. People will go, everybody's going to play him naked, so I'll play one pass catcher with him. I think you want him to hit where he's running enough and creating pass game production as the upside, because the Giants pass D is not very good either. Commanders pass D is legit very bad. Giants pass D, though, also not good. Gave up a 79% completion rate in week one. But unstacked just to show it. Jaden with Brees, Gibbs, Cup, Debo, Lazard, Parkinson, Ramondre, Patriots. Again, Lazard getting in fucking everywhere. And the double here. Is this the best double? No, this is the best double up top. This double here, though, I wouldn't mind it with the opponent. Jaden, Jordan Mason, Singletary. I wish it were a receiver. I want Neighbors to bring back. It's not occurring naturally, but I will force my way to some of that. It will be a guarantee to you guys today. Jaden, Mason, Singletary, Cup, Debo, McLaurin, Ertz, Connor, Titans. You're getting in all good players. You're getting direct leverage on Breece Hall. This lineup, if you're going to take one lineup for the stream today, guys, I think this is the one to me. You're getting the chalk. You're getting a little bit different around it. Again, if I could, I don't know what the price tags are, but if you could flip Connor and get Singletary to Neighbors, that would be I think one of the best built teams of the week. I think that's a really good team. You're going through an order, guys. Niners coming up next. Brock Purdy. I'll try to make it a little bit faster. Want to clear out before 10. Purdy. Oh, nope. Went the wrong way there. Top ROI lineup, Purdy with Connor, Mason, Amon-Ra, Debo, DeMarcus Robinson, Kittle, Najee, Saints. Again, Sims will force you to more correlation than not when they're going to be players that are going to be played a good amount. I think if you just play Purdy with Debo and Mason, you're probably getting low-owned enough with that as the base. But the Sims, again, will force you to more correlation than not to try to get unique. Terry hurt my soul. He hurt my soul too, bud, but I think that's where you buy when there's blood in the streets. The opportunity still should theoretically been there. Volume was not, but it's really one of those games to me. I said it in my fantasy points prop column, which I should link one more time here in the chat, just so if you guys haven't checked it out. If you can, just give it a click just to show fantasy points that I do matter. But my prop betting column this week, I have some stuff in there, including talking a little about Jaden and Terry McLaurin. But I said there that basically, I don't know how you look at the Commanders film from last week and don't go, oh, yeah, we need to do something different here or else I'm going to lose my job and the team's going to be awful all year. I think Cliff Kingsbury has to have that moment. And I think based on what they said to the media this week, they're going to have that moment. But that's obviously a little bit of wish casting for sure, because I don't want them to be just a low A-dot horizontal raid kind of team all year. And I don't know you can look at that film and go, yeah, this was great. We did exactly what we were supposed to do. That wasn't a good team last week, how they ran things. But check out the fantasy points column. That's all my prop bets for the week. Using a lot of the fantasy points prop tool as well as my own. Again, the data I use that I swear by. Darnold teams. We've got Darnold, Breece Hall, Charbonnet, Jefferson, Lazard, Wandale, Kittle, Cup, Packers. It's okay. And if you're going to go Darnold stack, I would want Jefferson. I guess if you're going to take the double, what do you add? Naylor on top? No, you're getting Munt. The double with Naylor is kind of interesting. I just don't know that Naylor has enough upside in this particular matchup. It would be hard for me to play Darnold too, to be honest. Just I don't expect him to have enough scoring against the Niners, but maybe it is a revenge game. You know, whenever that matters for you out there. Could they have done that in the offseason? They thought it would work better, would be my guess. If I had to guess, they thought it was going to be really clean. There's also the issue too with Jaden in that game where he did scramble too much. He didn't let plays develop. So I think you combine those two things together. If I had to guess, they open it up a little bit more because you should against the Giants, but we'll certainly see. If I'm wrong about it, just know the fact that it was mostly wish casting. That's the best way to do it. But I do think there's a football logic to why they would pass more and get more aggressive with it. Baker Mayfield teams, again, I do like in concept. Baker, Breece Hall, Mason, Evans, Debo, Godwin, Akins, Neighbors, Cardinals. Still don't like the Akins of it all. Think there are better tight end plays than that. But this is the kind of team I do like. You're getting unique with the Baker double, pairing it with good chalk. Hopefully, what we expect to be good chalk. That works for me. A single here with the bring back. I do like that too. Baker, Breece, Charbonnet, Amon-Ra, Godwin, Lazard, Parkinson, Kyron, Steelers. I would go off Breece and upgrade Lazard to anything, but I think that build works as well. Goff teams, let's look at them. Thank you. Thank you for your tailing them. I do play this in myself for what it's worth. I really don't want to embarrass myself in fantasy points because, you guys know, that's why I started a sports betting startup that uses market data. Market data is the most important thing. But I like trying to do the guesswork of it. So got fucking smoked in week 1, but it has a lot of directionally accurate bets. So hopefully this week we're directionally accurate and then accurately accurate. That'll be the hope. Jared Goff, very high ROIs for these top teams. Again, this game should shoot out, guys, so I really would not sleep on it. I think we saw this team already, though. Goff, Breece, Singletary, Amon-Ra, Williams, J-Mo Williams, of course. Allen Lazard, Laporta, Mason, Cardinals. Get fucking Lazard out of here. I might just, out of principle, not play a single Lazard lineup. He's coming up everywhere, and I just do not agree with that. Goff double here. Goff with Kyron, Mason, Amon-Ra. Cup, Lazard, fucking get out of here, Lazard. All right, this one with no Lazard. Goff, Breece, Mason, Amon-Ra, Debo, DeMarcus Robinson, Sam Laporta, Colby Parkinson, Giants. So you're fading Cup, but you're putting in 2 pass catchers who would take work away from him. Cup is a binary play. Cup, very hard for you to imagine him not hitting, but if he doesn't hit, it's going to be because other guys scored enough. Geno teams, go fast here, guys. Get out of the way for the 10 o'clock shows. Geno with Brees, Charbonnet, Cup, DK Metcalf, Lazard, Laporta, Mason, Commanders. You can play all the chalk you want with a Geno stack because nobody's going to go there after last week. Geno only dropped back 28 times. 72% catchable ball weight was pretty good. New England, though, shut the shit down in the pass in week one. Negative 0.33 EPA per dropback, negative 0.4 EPA per pass, negative 2.2 EPA in the red zone. Could have just been because the Bengals were that bad, but hard for me to go to Seattle with what we saw from week one in that offense. I was not very impressed. Jacoby Brissett, probably not somebody you want to play, but top ROI in lineup. Hey, not a bad ROI. Brissett, Breece Hall, Ramondre, CeeDee Lamb, Cooper Kupp, Tyler Johnson, Hunter Henry. Hunter Henry had pretty good workload last week, 54 snaps, 24 routes, 0.5 EPA on 3 targets. Interesting team here. This is actually, if Jacoby Brissett were really a viable play, what this team does, you're getting Cooper Kupp, you're getting the chalk here, you're getting a little bit of uniqueness around it. You're still getting a high upside play with CeeDee Lamb, getting good RBs in around it. Ramondre, a play I like. Kind of interesting to see. Chargers, just going in order, but I will look them up when we get there. Herbert, Pacheco, Mason, Lamb, Palmer, Deontay, Hurst, Kupp, Packers. Real low-owned stack here. Again, you want to play chalk, play it with a stack like this. Though this one, you're not playing a lot of chalk. I would try to get more. If I had to guess, this is because of the ownership kind of pushing some guys down like Breece Hall. But like you put your Breece Hall, you put your CeeDee Lamb, you put your Debo, your Cooper Kupp in this build. This is the kind of build that gets low-owned no matter what. So that's the kind of play you have to make around the chalk that we talked about. Again, every lineup, according to the solver, is going to have Cooper Kupp, Debo, Mason, and it's the fucking fourth one. You guys know if you watch the video at this point. We're basically going to have 4 guys that are in every lineup. I might have named 4 already anyway. Debo, Mason, Kupp, Breece Hall. That's it. That's the 4. So if you're going to play the chalk 4, play with shit like a Herbert stack going against the Panthers, a team that was like inept in week 1. Bryce Young stacks. We're completionists here. We're going to finish it out. Bryce Young, Breece Hall, Jerome Ford, Amon-Ra, Cooper Kupp, Deontay Johnson, Jatavian Sanders, Jordan Mason, Patriots. I'd be more inclined for the Deontay single here. Bryce, Taylor, Gibbs, Amon-Ra, Deontay Johnson, fucking Allen Lazard, Trey McBride, Jordan Mason, and Lions D. All right, Stafford. People want Stafford. I'm going to get this to a tight hour next week, I promise. But for week 1, went a little bit long. Week 2, we're going even longer. Stafford, Breece, Charbonnet, Kupp, Debo, Godwin, Parkinson, Demarcus Robinson, Commanders. So top ROI lineup is a QB +3. If I had to guess some sim lineups today, we'll be playing the Rams triple. Stafford with Ramondre, Mason, Amon-Ra, Kupp, Ayuk, Parkinson, Robinson, Commanders. So again, you're increasing the bet with more correlation. Sims love doing that, so just don't expect to sneak up anybody with that one with how well these guys were projected this week. Kyler Murray here. Kyler Murray, Ramondre, Mason, CeeDee Lamb, Amon-Ra, Lazard, McBride, Parkinson. Did we get any with Marvin Harrison? Nothing with Marvin Harrison up top. I think Marvin Harrison probably, dog shit projection for him. 7K salary, almost 12.9 projection. Field stacks. That's Baker Mayfield. We don't want him. We want Justin Fields. Justin Fields single with Pickens. Yeah, with Pickens, I hope. Fields, Breece, Ramondre, Amon-Ra, Kupp, Tyler Johnson, Gesicki, Pickens, Commanders. So Gesicki, the low-owned piece there. Not Jordan Akins, probably because of the ownership. Already going and putting him in enough lineups. These Fields teams don't really do it for me. Bo Nix teams, probably also not a play. Not good ROIs. There were 12 targets last week for Cortland Sutton. Don't think he's coming up here, but a Bo Nix, Cortland Sutton stack, maybe. But Bo Nix, Breece Hall, Charbonnet, CeeDee Lamb, Amon-Ra, Josh Reynolds, Akins, Mason, Cardinals. Again, another QB stack here. You play along the chalk. That's how you get that ownership down. That's how that would go. Cincinnati. Got Burrow here. Burrow stack's going to be low-owned. Certainly a little bit of risk with the risk stuff. You got Joe Burrow, Jonathan Taylor, Breece Hall, Jamar Chase, Yoshivas, Lazard, Trey McBride, J.K. Dobbins, Cardinals. I like that one a little bit more. The Lazard part of it, never. But at least Yoshivas correlated. That makes sense. I don't get why you're playing Lazard too, though. You already got the savings on that. Spending a lot at RB, though, with Taylor and Breece Hall. So that's the reason why for that one. And Mahomes stacks, I think, to close us out. Troy Franklin's active. It's still going to be hard for him to get time. I think he's probably playing behind Lil Jordan Humphrey and Mims, but we're live. We're possible for it. We got Mahomes, Breece Hall, Jordan Mason, CeeDee Lamb, Rashee Rice, these two. Take them out of the player pool. Fuck. Lazard, Jordan Akins, Kelsey, Cardinals. So there's your Mahomes double up top. Take Lazard, take Akins with it, but try to swap those guys to somebody else if you want to play that lineup. Second one would be Mahomes, Breece, Mason, Amon-Ra, Lazard, Yoshivas, bring back Kelsey, Rashee Rice, Cardinals. Kelsey and Rice, I still don't love as a play together. I think they eat from each other's plate in terms of pure ceiling, but that's the lineup. That's what's coming in there. So there we go. 3 takeaways for today. Number 1, guys, fucking playlist Allen Lazard, playlist Jordan Akins. That's probably the biggest one. Number 2 would be there's 4 players that are going to come up naturally in projections a lot together. Breece Hall, Cooper Kupp, Deebo Samuel, Jordan Mason. Try not to play all those guys together. If you play all those guys together, try to put unique stuff around it. If you play just like a chalk QB, you play Jaden Daniels naked, you're going to be fucked with that team. So keep that in mind. Those 4 guys come up everywhere, so you either have to play a few of them, not there, or you have to play them with unique stuff around it. So keep that in mind. Limit that group or add on something unique for any time you do have Kupp, Deebo, Mason, and Breece Hall in the lineup. Third takeaway today would be I just really am being mindful of the cheap stuff. There's too much cheap shit coming into every lineup, and I get it. Like, the cheap things make the stud plays work. There's a lot of guys. Again, we talked about Jameson Williams. We talked about Malik Neighbors. There's guys in that 5K range that have huge upside, have 20-point upside, 30-point upside. They're not getting played enough because everybody's going these 3K Lazard, Yoshivas kind of plays based on the math. I don't think that's the way to go. So to me, I would just really try to avoid the cheap guys that suck. I mean, if you take a cheap guy, play him correlated, like that's sort of the way that I would do that. But there we go, guys. There's our final takes for the week. Go check out all your other content. Before you do that, though, subscribe down below. Hit the like button, leave a comment. All your support here goes a long way for me. Of course, I'm a sole proprietor here, just doing the work every day, competing against legit companies with multiple employees doing shows. And I just show up here and do the work by myself to try to show you guys a real process, what I'll be doing the second I hop off stream to build my own lineups. This is what we do here. Of course, underdog, promo code SPLASH, $1,000 deposit match. If you want to get the tools I use on stream here, Stochastic, 15% off, promo code SPLASH. And of course, the solver as well. Link in the description there, supports the show. And again, a great tool if you want to really have your hand on the wheel a little bit more with the lineups you build. But go check out everything else you want to go watch today. Thank you to the Squirt Squad. Gamble responsibly, all that. And I'll be back tomorrow with more, of course, our showdown video for Monday Night Football coming up. We got Eagles. We got Falcons. We might not have A.J. Brown. We'll do that in a little bit. But I appreciate you guys hanging with me here. Hope this was helpful. And I'll see you guys again with more soon. So enjoy your days. And no matter what you're playing today, good luck. Bye-bye.